Hello, it's Deborah from the attic, and today I've got the latest Tonic kit. This is kit 12. It's called Hello Autumn Shaker, and there are some beautiful goodies in here that I'm going to share with you. So I'm going to begin with the pen. This is numbered 881 Midas Touch, and I've already released the yellow cap that protects the ink from flowing into the pen before you're ready to use it. And I've charged the pen up because I want to show you the shimmer. Isn't that beautiful? It's really subtle. It's a lovely subtle goldy glittery effect. Often when I've used metallic gold pens, it's very strong, whereas this is just subtle. It's a beautiful, beautiful colour. I'm really pleased with that pen. I wondered what it would be like because I use the clear aqua shimmer pen. I love that. I use that a lot, and this pen is just as exciting to use. It's beautiful. This is Nuvo embossing powder and it's called Copper Blush. This is Nuvo crystal drops and this is called Autumn Pearl, and I'm going to, I love these diddy little bottles, I'm going to put a tiny little spot on the card so you can see how it comes out. That's really lovely. It's got a pearlised shimmer, I hope you can see, and it's a lovely complement to that pen. All of the colours in this kit look stunning. They all look like they're going to be so pretty to use. Then there are rose gold pure sheen sequins, and these are nice. These are a sort of a dull gold, but they're smaller than standard. I've been really looking forward to seeing this since it was announced in the reveal. These are Nuvo vintage drops. They say they add matte dimension details to craft projects, and look at this, isn't this just so pretty? There's a little tag and everything. It's a beautiful little container, beautiful bottle. And I'm going to pop some of these on our card as well so you can see. That's a very nice warm vanilla cream. The papers are glorious. They're so lovely, and it's nice that this is an autumn themed kit, but it's not all bright oranges or reds or greens. This is a little bit different because it's creams and vanillas and sort of bronzy colours. Onto these final two. I always like to save the best till last. Now, first of all, this is a box that you get your leaf shaker refills in, and on the back I really like this little detail, a little tab, and it says be inspired. I think this kit does that. And inside are 5 very large leaf refill sets for your shaker cards. And finally, as always, the really big die set. So in here there are 39 individual dies, 39 dies, just massive. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to punch those out. I'm going to run them through my die cutter so that you can see what they pop out like, because some of these have texture in them and I want you to be able to see how the texture comes out on a piece of card. First of all, I just want to make a note about these ones here. These look like odd shapes, but actually these are designed to match with the stamps that come as part of the kit. My stamps unfortunately didn't arrive, so I'm going to press on anyway because there's so much in the kit that I can easily give you some ideas for how to use the dies, and I'm confident that Tonic will sort out the stamps that were missing from my kit, so I will get those later on, but I'm just going to go ahead anyway with all of these dies because I've got I'm just buzzing with ideas. I don't really know where to start, but I wanted to show you how big they are and how they nest. So I cut them all out so I could show you, and there's lots of different permutations that I could have chosen, but I'm just going to show you the important elements. So I think this one is important to show you. This is the smallest leaf size, and the reason that that's important is because it comes from this die, and this is a die that will fit around your shaker element. So if you're going to be cutting out because you're going to use the shaker, this is the size of die that you need. The other thing I wanted to show you is how well they all nest together. So this one nest beautifully inside this one with the scalloped edge, but you can separate them, and I can separate that one out as well. When I was cutting out the dies, it left me with these impressions, and I think these are lovely. I think these look like little trees, and there are so many of them as well, more little trees. So I have an idea for a card where we can use the cutout shape, and for the actual shape, the leaf with the sort of veins in the middle of it map perfectly onto the solid outer shapes. And there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of those. But these are beautiful because I love those little dots around the outside. That little extra piece of texture on those leaves is something else that I want to use as well. I began card 1 by cutting down a piece of the buff cream cardstock from the kit to just under 6 inches square. Then I took the beige paper and the smallest die and cut out the leaf shape. You can use the leaf for other projects later on. Then I took the really tiny little leaves that have the textured dots all the way around them, and I cut them from the same paper that I'd used to edge my leaf. And I'm gluing them down into position where the leaf shows. So I haven't glued anything down other than the tiny leaves at this stage. I'm adding a line of glue around the top outside of my shaker leaf shape. And then I can pop my aperture over the top and glue that into position. I'm using the Nouveau confetti that came as part of the kit, and I'm going to add some sprinkles where the leaves are because I know that way it will be captured within the shaker window. Now I'm going to make a mistake, and I've left it in so you can learn from my errors. I always do this. I always remove that adhesive protection. What I should do is I should glue the edges of my paper first and then remove the protective layer, but I always do that the wrong way around. So I hope you can learn from my errors. And then I can glue everything down in place onto my card, and I've left a tiny little, maybe 2-3 millimeter border of cream around the outside of my card. Shaky shake, it works. I can add a greeting in the bottom or in the top or in the bottom left corner. For card 2, I used a piece of card from my cardstock. That's a nice cross between brown and red that I'm using as my background card, and I've taken 2 of the pieces of card from the kit and cut them down so that I have a top and a bottom layer. And now I'm just going to position the little leaf dies, and I'm going to hold them into place with a couple of post-it notes, and I'm going to run them through my die cutter. When they've been through the die cutting machine and I remove the tape that's held them all in place, this is the result that you get, and I think it's beautiful. It looks like little trees on the horizon. You can reserve those pieces and use them for another project. I've also cut a strip from the beautiful textured cream card, and I've cut this down to size, and I'm going to glue it just below the line of the trees. There's a little bit of overhang there, but that's no problem. I will simply trim it off with my scissors. Now I can add glue to the reverse of the whole design, and I can stick it down onto my piece of cardstock. You want something that contrasts with the gold so that the trees really show through. Next I'm going to reach for my Vanilla Milkshake Vintage Nouveau drops, and I'm going to add some little drops to the top of my card. And I'm going to set that aside to dry. For card 3, I've gone back to an old favourite of mine, which is shrink plastic, and I've cut out the smallest of the leaf dies, and I'm heating this with my heat gun, and you can see how crumpled up it gets. Don't worry, don't be scared, let it do its thing, keep heating it, because what the plastic is doing is shrinking back to its original shape and size before it was extruded and rolled out flat into the shapes that we use and make our cuts from. I flatten it by putting one of my acrylic blocks on the top. I'm going to use the very pretty embossing powder that came as part of the kit, so I'm inking up my leaf I'm going to sprinkle over that beautiful coppery effect embossing powder, and then I'm going to heat set it. I'm going to show you me heat setting it once, because I'm sure you know what heat setting looks like now, but I also set it again. So I added more powder onto the top of this, and then I heat set it again. The effect of that is that the leaf curls slightly. For my design, that was absolutely fine, but you might want to be aware of that if you need a design that's going to lie flat. Then I cut some strips of paper from the different papers in the kit, and I cut some little fishtails into the bottom of them, and now I'm going to arrange them on my card, and when I'm happy with the position of them, I'm going to glue them into place. I didn't glue the lines all the way up to the top edge of the card because I wasn't sure how much I wanted to have hanging over the top and how much I would snip away, but all I need to do now is add a little bit of glue at the top just to keep everything in place. I'm adding more glue in random dots just around the top of that little design because I'm going to use the sequins and I'm going to glue them into place on my glue dots. Once they're dry, I'm going to add tiny little spots of my vintage drops into the centre of each of those little sequins. And that's my card finished, with the copper leaf glued on at the bottom. Card 4 is very simple matting and layering because this is a great way of letting beautifully coordinating cardstock speak for itself. I'm using a craft based card, and I've also cut out some craft squares just to mix in with the rest of the cardstock, the glitter and that lovely gold, so that I can mix the shapes up and have them exactly as I want them before I glue them down onto my card. And I've left a space at the bottom so that I can add a sentiment. For card 5, I'm using the die cuts from earlier, but I'm using the bits that were left, so I'm using them as a stencil on the top of the slightly pearlized shimmery cream card from the kit, and I'm using a mixture of colours. There's umber, red, ochre and another colour in there that I can't remember, but it's a mixture of browns and reds because I'm going to apply the colour through my little handmade stencil, and I'm going to vary the colour as well. So at the top I might put an emphasis on the dark brown, and on the bottom of the leaf I might have an emphasis on the red. It will all add to a nice autumnal feel to the card. And the applicators that I'm using are oral foam swabs. Sounds disgusting, but they're ever so cheap on Amazon. You get about 200 for £10, and I use them quite a lot for this type of small application work. I'm using my beautiful gold pen to add a little detail where the leaf veins are. You won't see this very much on the camera, but when you're close up to the card you can see an extra little shimmer. Now I've got a craft side folding card, and I've cut my pieces down so that they will fit within the card, and I'm using the really beautifully textured cream shimmery card from the kit as well. I'm going to glue them both down into position, and once they're both on the card I'm going to take a piece of the glittery cardstock and I'm going to cut a very thin little strip from that, and I'm going to make sure that I cut it down so it doesn't hang out beyond the length of the other two pieces. So I'm just going to use a pencil and just mark off a little bit to chop off with my scissors, and I'll glue that in position, and then my card is ready for its sentiment. As I explained, the stamp set didn't arrive with my card kit, so I've had to go with some different sentiments that I had from my my stamp stock. So I've used a couple. One says hello friend, and the other one says a harvest of blessings, because I thought that fitted really nicely with the sentiments of this Hello Autumn card kit. So I'm going to leave you with some close-ups of all of the cards that we've made today. I'm going to say thank you very much for watching as always, and until we meet again, take care.